Royal Caribbean's Royal Beach Club in Nassau is going to run you somewhere between $120 and $200, depending on when you book. Private beaches, heated pools, swim-up bars, included food and drinks, and a much more polished beach day than most people expect here. I was skeptical and considered it just another spot for Royal to take my money. After going myself, I can see why people like it. I can also see why this is not an automatic yes. If you get a good price, this can be a really solid beach day. If the price climbs too high, or your cruise already includes CocoCay, it gets much harder to justify. So in this video, I want to show you what Royal Beach Club is actually like, what stood out most once I got there, and who I think this is really worth booking for. If you're new to the channel, I'm Brad. My goal is to help you get more out of every cruise with honest ship tours, guides, and real-world tips so you know exactly what to expect before you sail. If you'd like more videos like this to help plan your next cruise, hit subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. Let's dive right in. Royal Beach Club is Royal Caribbean's private beach club experience on Paradise Island in Nassau. This is not another CocoCay style included stop. It's a paid shore excursion. You book it ahead of time, scan in with your SeaPass card, and then take a short water taxi over from the port. For us, the arrival process was pretty smooth overall. Once we got there, the energy was high right away. Live music was going, staff were welcoming people in, and it definitely felt like Royal wanted this to feel more elevated than a normal beach day in Nassau. At first, I wasn't fully sold. I thought it was just another way to empty my wallet. But the more we walked around, the more I noticed how much thought had gone into it. That ended up being one of the biggest surprises of the day. I expected it to still feel a little unfinished or rough around the edges since it was still pretty new, but that was not the case. It felt bigger, more polished, and more completed than I expected. The best word for my first real impression of Royal Beach Club is probably impressive. There was more seating options than I expected. Not just loungers, but chairs, rocking chairs, shaded seating, picnic tables, easy free lockers, clean bathrooms, sunscreen stations, multiple bars, and multiple food stations. It all felt well thought out from a guest perspective. It also matched the marketing pretty closely. The beach looked beautiful, the colorful party area looked exactly like what you see in Royal's promo shots, the buildings, the color palette, the overall atmosphere, it all felt very on brand to Royal Caribbean. And one of the more interesting things about it is that it really does feel like a controlled alternative to Nassau. It felt clean, organized, easy to navigate, and much more controlled than a typical Nassau beach day. There were no vendors following you around, no figuring out transportation on your own, no guessing what the beach setup is going to be like once you get there, and that convenience is really part of the appeal. But it also leads into one of my bigger takeaways later, which is that this often felt a bit more like CocoCay than it did Nassau. Royal Beach Club is divided into three main areas: the chill area, the party area, and the family area. And I'll say this, that setup worked better than I expected. It didn't just feel like branding, you could really feel the difference between the spaces. The party zone is the one that looks best on camera. That's where you've got the big, colorful structure over the pool, the swim-up bar, more music, more energy, and the most visually striking part of the whole property. If you want that upbeat atmosphere, this is where you're going to end up. For me, I'm much more into a relaxed beach day, a quieter pool, some time in the sand, and being able to settle in without everything feeling like a party scene. And that's where the chill area worked really well, and that ended up being my favorite zone. It was quieter, the crowd skewed a little older, and it felt like a good place to step away from both the party energy and the family-heavy side of the property. Then you of course have the family area, which had its own pool, its own beach space, and more of an obviously family crowd. So if you're traveling with kids, that area will make sense to you. I liked the groups really did separate naturally. Families did stay on their side, the party crowd stayed near the music, and the chill area actually gave you a place to breathe a little. That made the whole place feel much more usable. And of course, one of the real perks here are the different pool setups. And not just that there are pools, but that they are heated. That matters more than you might expect. We spent some time in the party pool and the infinity pools, and having heated water made a real difference since the ocean was pretty cold that day. That gave the whole place a better mix than a normal beach-only excursion. You could be in the pool, grab a drink at the swim-up bar, move over to the beach, then back to the pool without relying on the ocean to make the day work. For us, that was a real plus. The party pool definitely got busier and louder as the day went on and felt much more lively with a little bit of a rowdy crowd, and that was great if that's what you'd like. The other pools felt more relaxed. As for the beach itself, the sand was soft, the water looked great, and the waves crashing against the rocks made for some really nice views. So I wouldn't call this only a beach destination or only a pool destination. It actually does work as both. That said, I do think the pools are one of the things that separate this from just doing a cheaper Nassau beach day on your own. Now let's talk about the included food and drinks, since that's a big part of the value. We had several drinks throughout the day, and the drink package add-on absolutely helped make the experience feel worth it at the price we paid. The standout part for me wasn't just the drinks were included, it was the service. Our server got to know us, remembered our names, checked in on us often, and made the day feel much more personal in a way I wasn't expecting. That was definitely one of the best parts of the experience for me for the day. It made the whole place feel more premium. On the food side, I'd call it good, but maybe not premium. I did like the lobster BLT, the tropical salad was quite good, and overall the food was solid enough, and having it included does help offset the price. But I wouldn't point to the food alone as the reason to book this. In fact, I wouldn't put the food on the same level as something like Coco Beach Club on CocoCay. That kind of comparison gets tough once you're looking at similar price points. The bigger issue for me was the food service. That part felt a bit chaotic. We had items come out wrong, some things were out and needed to be replenished, and it took longer than it should have. So even though I thought the food itself was decent, the food prep operation didn't feel especially smooth. That was probably the most disappointing part of the day. Now, talking about crowds and comfort and how it all held up, one thing I was curious about going in was how crowded the whole place would feel, especially since there were 4 Royal Caribbean ships in port that day. Overall, it was busy, but luckily not overly crowded. More importantly, it still felt spacious once people settled in. We had no real issue finding loungers where we wanted them, and there was plenty of seating options around the island. There were lots of bars and bartenders, there were lots of modern, clean bathrooms, and towels were easy to find. So from a comfort and space standpoint, I thought it handled the crowds pretty well. Now, if this place were even busier and you were struggling to find seats together or claim space later in the day, I think that might change the experience quite a bit. So I still think getting here earlier is the smart move, especially if you care where you sit. Now, I also want to talk about the premium option in the Cabanas, because that's where you're definitely going to see part of the appeal visually. We filmed several of them pretty closely, including Cabanas with their own private infinity pools, and I'll say this, they looked great. They were impressive, they looked private, they looked tempting, but they are wildly overpriced. From what we saw, Cabana pricing started around $1,500 for the entry-level options, with 8 included passes, but they also climbed into the upper thousands and low 2000s for some of the other Cabana types. And of course, the ultimate family cabana that could go for well over $10,000. Yeah, they do look nice, and yes, they feel private enough to matter, but no, I don't think these are the right value plays for most people. And now we get to the biggest question with Royal Beach Club. Is it worth the price? For us, price is a huge part of why it felt worth it. We booked one of Royal Caribbean's bundle deals on a 4-day cruise that included the deluxe beverage package on the ship and Royal Beach Club admission with the open bar. The total came out to about $77 per person per day. Since the ship drink package alone often runs about $60 or more per day, the way we looked at it, the beach club portion ended up feeling like a really strong deal. At that price, yeah, it really felt worth it. We got beach, drinks, food, pools, great service, clean facilities, easy transportation. It was an absolute yes. But that's not what a lot of people are seeing right now. If you're looking in the app now, you're probably seeing prices closer to about $125 per adult or more with the drinks and Wi-Fi included. That becomes a much harder conversation, because at that point, I start comparing it to other Royal Caribbean premium beach products. And if your itinerary already includes CocoCay, especially if you've done Hideaway Beach or Coco Beach Club before, Royal Beach Club starts to feel a lot less unique. That was one of my biggest takeaways from the day. At times, it felt a lot more like CocoCay than being at Nassau. But if you're paying premium money for something that feels very similar to another Royal Upcharge beach experience you may have already experienced on the same sailing, the value gets harder to defend. For me, once this gets much over $100, I really start questioning it. So what's my final verdict? I really had a good time at Royal Beach Club. It was better than I expected, it was more polished than I expected, and honestly, it was more impressive than I expected. But this is not a must-do Nassau stop. It's a price-sensitive excursion. At the right price, I'd say it's worth trying. At the wrong price, especially if your itinerary already includes CocoCay, that becomes a much harder recommendation. So for me, Royal Beach Club is worth it for a lot of people with caveats. If you can get a strong deal and you want an easy, polished beach day in Nassau, I get the appeal. If the price starts creeping up above $100 or $120, I'd be honest and be more hesitant. If you've been to Royal Beach Club, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you're considering booking it, let me know what prices you're seeing in your sailing, because for this one, price really is a huge part of the story. And if you liked this review, check out my other reviews of the upcharge beaches on CocoCay. I'll link those here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on board again soon.